Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's cool out. It's cool in here, in fact. So, just a couple of quick items. The poster in the elevators say that the meeting we have tomorrow for the Roro quarterly meeting says Town Hall. That's an error or wishful thinking. It's going to be here in the Grand Lobby South, and that's at 10 o'clock here tomorrow. The other one is the same that afternoon, and I'm told it's going to be around 70 tomorrow because the In the Know with RO is in the breezeway. So if you have any concerns or anything you want to share with the director, 2:30 tomorrow in the breezeway, you can communicate directly with the director of that department. And I think that's it. Yeah, leave it up to Pam.
Go ahead.
In conclusion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go.
Careful with the keyboard.
I just wanted to let you know we put some shopping flyers in your mailboxes, and this is what we're highlighting this month. I understand Instacart has raised their prices, so maybe we'll be a little cheaper for you if you want to use us. We can either take you or we can shop for you. Also, the couriers for the pharmacies, a lot of the pharmacies have cut out or limited the times that they can deliver now. So they're usually putting scripts in the mail, and I get a lot of calls on Friday for people that need antibiotics before the weekend. So we'll run out and get that for you. Also, we still do pet walking or assisting with your cats and their litter boxes, medication reminders, and I'm available to speak with if you have concerns about your medications and need some help. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank
Much
you.
more.
Okay. So good morning, obviously, welcome to Tuesday Talk, I guess my first on my own. So go easy on me, I still don't have all the answers or even half of them, but we'll get you them. So I just kind of wanted to go over a few of the items I know have been hot topics here at the community, and then of course I can go into any questions. I did ask that Darwin join me just in case, because I know there's still a lot of projects and a lot of construction that we are some of it finalizing. So just in case there was any questions, I asked that he kind of assist me that way. I don't just give you a bunch of, I don't know, I'll get back to you. So a couple housekeeping updates. I'll turn this way a little bit because we did start the weekly housekeeping as of this week. We do have new housekeepers that are taking their assignments. So again, if you have any concerns, we currently have Evan helping out in the health center for a couple of weeks, but you can reach out to Wanda in extension 335. The robots are working great so far. Evan said they are covering 2 floors a day, and he was actually going to get me a little bit of data on the efficiency of those robots. So he hadn't had an opportunity yet, but he was going to get me that I can share with you. Okay, so for the names, I don't have the details of how they came about this, but he looked through all the feedback, and it comes that the names are Rusty in the north and Rosie in the south. Don't know the rhymes or reasons for any of that, but we have, these were from your votes, and it's Rusty and Rosie. So don't kick Rusty or Rosie, let them do their job, and we'll get them going. Evan also mentioned that there was a new housekeeper starting this week, and we can give you the name of that individual to make sure that you're well acclimated. Construction timeline. So again, the date did change. LCS Development and Peak are going to be coming out on the 26th now. It was originally the 24th, but as always with construction was changes, so that is now the 26th. I unfortunately will not be here for that, but we did ask that Brant come back and join because of course he knew a lot of those details. So that is on the 26th for now, right? And they'll come through and really kind of address everything, do their punch list, and then we'll have a better idea of where we stand. Again, kind of the same from last Tuesday talk, the occupancy of the building is depending on the temporary permit, and we do not have that date just yet. Still working through a lot of those details. Just a little bit of project updates. I met with Chris and he kind of helped guide me on some of the questions and some of the topics that have been going on. So we are removing the rest of the stumps from those trees that we were removing. They should have done that already yesterday. So that should have already been completed. So as far as repaving the road with the walkway, I know that that was on the docket for the projects going over the next year or so. We are going to do a fourth of that this year. I know there was a little bit of talk about half, but it will be a fourth. And we are going to be starting at the front for the community curb appeal. Some of that was kind of discussed and decided prior to myself, and that is kind of the route that is going to be taken for that project. For the stairwell repaint, almost completed. We actually still need the R-wing, and I kind of followed up with Darwin, and he did mention that that would be by the end of next week. So by the end of next week, we should have completed all of those stairwell repaints. And the last one, I believe, was the fire doors. We had ordered 35, and they are all installed. So
the one from the pump room.
just missing the one from the pump room. Just to kind of give you an update on this week's events and activities, I'll probably just kind of do that just to help keep myself on track as well. But Wednesday, as we mentioned, the 10 a.m. Railroad Quarterly meeting. On Wednesday as well, at 2:30 in the know with Regency Oaks. That is 2:30 in the breezeway. Let me turn a little bit this way. Friday, oh, and again, this was to help me stay in line. Directors answer questions from residents, so I kind of know what's going on with each event. Friday, January 20th at 2 is My Life Experience with Edward LaFay in the Grand Lobby South. Pop-up on the breezeway, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Ricky and team are very excited about that. And Gourmet Wednesday in the Regency room at 5 p.m. They're also pretty excited about that. So when I met with Chris yesterday, and I will be very transparent, I have not had a chance to read the resident survey in depth. My past life we had that, and I knew that one by in and out, but I have not had a chance to review the Regency Oaks survey, but that is on my to-do list by the end of the week. In discussions with Chris, we kind of discussed, I know goals were mentioned, and we are kind of at the beginning of the year for 2023, and I really just wanted to kind of come right out my first meeting and tell you kind of where I stand. This is a very high level. I obviously will get into more of the details and the minutia and the daily operations as I continue to get acclimated here in our community and how we do things. But initially, just from speaking with a lot of you, meeting with Brant, meeting with the team, just kind of knowing a little bit about Regency Oaks thus far, these are my initial high-level goals. Much more that will be delved into, but just kind of wanted to make sure you knew where my priorities were right out of the gate, really. So first and foremost is the resident satisfaction survey. That is something that JD Power Associates and LCS has done almost yearly, whether it's one or the other. And it's my understanding that we have a little bit of room for improvement on that. So just by a little bit, So just by my initial review, by my initial kind of discussions, that is first and foremost the operational efficiency, our communication, work orders, dining services. These are some, no offense Darwin, you guys do a great job, but there are just some room for improvement. And I wanted to be very clear. I do not want to promise perfection, but I want to strive for improvement. So we definitely want to make sure that I get to know your feedback We ask that survey, we ask that feedback of you. So it's important to me to get to know that way we can build upon that. And that's going to be a collaborative effort. That will be leadership as well as the residents working together so we can make those improvements for the resident satisfaction. Second was employee satisfaction. We get sporadic, it's called retention ratio. It basically is the rate of retention, keeping our employees in other terms. We get those reports sporadically, and Regency Oaks isn't at the top, and so that's really important to me as the labor and workforce gets harder, that we continue to build upon and work towards improvement of our employee satisfaction. Just by working with the team and reviewing some of the feedback, that also goes into communication and some ways that we want to improve upon that as well. So thirdly, is growth. Obviously we are continuing to have, excuse my allergies, we are continuing to have projects. We have a lot going on at this community, which is fantastic. I'm sure at some point you're hoping that all the construction just ceases and we can just live, right? But nonetheless, we have a lot of great amenities that have been added to this community that a lot of the other communities do not have. And I know that a lot of those are coming to a completion with some still in the works. So of course that's continued growth. The other aspect of that is, of course, sales. Of course, we know that we have to have our residents bought into our community and happy prospects in order to have you, in order for us to have jobs. We're here to serve you. That is why we're here at a community like this, and sales is a big part of that as well. And I know Lucy's been here for a long time, so I know, happy residents usually help Lucy do her job. So we want to make sure that we can continue to build upon that concept of happy residents. So again, that's a very high level. I will continue to work with Chris as far as what that looks like, what implementations we can make in the coming months and throughout the year. But that is my hope and my commitment. Again, to be very clear, I did not say perfection, but I do want to make sure we can have improvement on that. None of the surveys were perfect, so there's always room for improvement no matter what. Next, just really important, I know we continue to talk about this, COVID. The county rates for Pinellas County is actually extremely high. It's at 14.3%. So we actually have 5 new IL residents with COVID at this moment, and that has grown in just a day. So really, I wanted to take this opportunity, next slide for me, if you could, Betsy. Again, this is straight from CDC. Any additional precautions you can take and we can take are only going to help us mitigate and spread the exposure. It's growing quickly, and we want to make sure that we can stay in front of that. Hand washing, staying up to date with your vaccines, getting COVID tested, following recommendations for what to do if you've been exposed. A big one is please communicate. If you've been exposed, if you've been confirmed positive, please call the front desk in IHS and communicate so we can help you. Next, of course, is working with us, staying home. If you know you have COVID, please stay in your apartments. We'll get you anything that you need, but please do your part and work with us. Get treatment if you do have COVID or if you are at high risk. And avoid contact for yourself or for anyone that's expected to have COVID. Okay. So my schedule, just so everyone knows, I will be out a little bit next week and the following week. I was lucky enough for my brother and my best friend to get married back to back. So I get to fly to California and then back to Houston. So I just want to communicate, if you don't see me here, that's where I'm at. I always like to be very transparent with my team and the residents, so it can't leave you wondering, did I take off on you? Am I sick? So if I don't come back, you know which one, right? So, my brother's wedding will be on January 24th through the 28th, so I will not be here that week. We will still have Tuesday talk. I'm gonna meet with the team and Betsy, and we'll still have a presentation and topics to discuss for you. I didn't want to simply cancel it, because I want us to maintain our routine. And then, again, my best friend's wedding is going to be the 1st through the 5th, so there will be a few days that following week that I will be out as well. Oh, that's just my brother. I just think he's a cutie and wanted to show him. That's him and his beautiful new wife-to-be, and we went to New York for him to get engaged by the Rockefeller tree, because he had always seen Home Alone and wanted to propose at the tree. So it was the best, and now I get to fly from the basically East Coast to West Coast to watch him get married. And that's all for them. Other than that, I know IHS kind of went over their information. Again, when it comes to COVID, please communicate with us. Please communicate with IHS. That way we can help work with you. So are there any questions about all of the amazing information that I shared? And yes, I know my brother's cute. You don't have to ask about him.
Not available either.
And not available, that's correct. Any questions? Like I said, a lot of construction, a lot of updates, so I wanted to make sure if there were, that Darwin, he has kind of kept me straight with all of the various projects that we can answer, or anything else I might be able to answer for you.
I'd like to congratulate whoever changed the colors on that screen, because I could even see it without my glasses on. So whoever's responsible, thank you.
Sure, anything I can do for you. It was a simple fix. I recognize anytime I ever put out anything with a memo, large, dark, too many colors can get a little distracting. So I try to make it as simple as possible for you.
They weren't readable.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'll keep it that way. And
Lindsay,
large type, yes.
I have a question. Maybe it's me, but this place is always cold.
Okay.
And whether it be winter, summer, whatever, somebody should be able to control it if we say it's cold. And it does get cold here.
I agree. We actually had to move our morning meeting yesterday from one of the dining rooms because it was 47 degrees.
Well,
Yes.
if in one of your things, if you can find, so that we can at least be able to enjoy ourselves. Thank you.
And I did grab Darwin and kind of ask them to help me, educate me on why some rooms were colder than the others. So we'll work on that.
Is there any way we can get channel 732 to be clearer? I don't know if other people here have problems with 732, but the only voice I have ever been able to hear was Brandt's.
Is that the in-house?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other issues with that? Maybe we can just look at your TV. Anybody have any other issues with 732? The sound system, okay. Do you have any feedback on that, Darwin? Do you know anything about that? Okay.
The issue of people being cold, there are also people who live here who are hot. If you're cold, layer up.
And yes, I mean, absolutely. We've got, 500 different people with, different body temperature preferences, but I do agree maybe 42 was a little extreme, so we'll work on that.
I wonder when
Go ahead, Nancy.
I was wondering if we could have a little bit more detail about the incidence of COVID, and how our wellness center connects with if we get sick and what happens on the weekend, and maybe just a little bit more detail
That's
about
actually
that.
a very good question, and I would like to understand as well. Okay. So Betsy just informed me our process. You would contact Leslie, 542, sorry,
Or 542 or
Five-
501.
542 or 501. Okay.
And then on the weekends, or one more thing I just thought of, there are COVID tests at the front desk that they can sign out, and they could do a test in their apartment to know if they need to quarantine, so that Leslie can follow up with them on Monday.
Okay. Did everyone hear Betsy? No. Okay. So she said on the weekend you can access COVID tests from the front desk. And you can see the front desk, and they would contact either 501 or 542. If they're not here on the weekends, they would follow up first thing Monday. They would touch base with you, do the tracking.
That's
Sorry?
what you have on the weekends is what they're asking.
So far as so I don't know the full answer. I'm giving you the portion I do have.
Rita, so on the weekends, on Saturday or Sunday, if you are not feeling well, you can go to the front desk or ask a neighbor, a spouse, a family member, stop at the front desk and pick up a COVID test. They're very simple for you to do in your apartment so that you will know within a few minutes if you are COVID positive. Just call the front desk and let them know your results, and then either Leslie or Carol will follow up with you on Monday.
Do not go to the front desk if you're sick.
Right. Yes, send someone, yes, exactly. Ask your neighbor to help out.
Does that answer that for you? No? Well, all right. Well, I will get Leslie to get additional instructions. So if that's not answering it for you. No, there is not somebody here specifically from there, but we can most certainly discuss a different process or something more.
I'm wondering what's gonna happen in terms, there's no handicap opening of the door on the other side here, coming from, the tavern. There used to be a push plate and there isn't any. How is that gonna take place?
It used to be on the column before, and they removed it. I'll make sure it gets back there.
Said it used to be there, he's going to make sure it comes back.
I think it's supposed to be on the punch list.
On the
On
punch
the
list.
26th for sure.
Okay.
Also, there's a door going outside on the first floor that does not have a press button. It's so hard to open up. And we need one of those press things.
Which door?
S, one. I'm in 108, and to go out is very hard.
So the exit door near S108.
Yes. No, it's not the first door.
No,
That's
You
the
can't do the first door, it's a fire door. That's what Brent said.
I'll touch base with Darwin. Is that a fire door?
It's the one before the exit one. It's two doors. You got a fire door and then you got the exit door. It's a fire door. That's why we cannot put it on example. The other door is automatic.
Why is that?
It's a fire rated door, so you have to be maintained close at all times.
Fire regulation.
Oh.
Lindsay,
Yes, sir.
a couple of questions. You mentioned earlier in your presentation about surveys,
Yes.
and you used the plural. Who participated in those surveys? Because I don't remember participating in a survey.
Well, I could not answer that, but I can try to get the answer for you.
I can help with that. The last survey we had was in September, and it was the JD Power survey. And you did participate in that one, Roger. It was the one that was only electronic. We did not have a paper version. I remember speaking to you about it.
Okay. Second question, there's been some discussion about the status of the carry-out charges. You wrote a really nice memo a couple of weeks ago, but what's the status of the 350, and then how exactly is the 550 gonna be implemented? There are some people who think that that's per person, like $11 for, you know.
It is.
But now, that's not logical. It should be one delivery charge if you're gonna charge $550. That should include 3 or 4 meals going to the same apartment.
So I hear you and I understand that, however, I have no intention of pulling that back. That was something that was implemented prior to my tenure. We did discuss the 350, and that is what we pulled back on. I can get you more information if you need additional clarification. I do believe from my understanding with Brant that it is per person, and that does remain intact.
Well, that's gonna make me, when people think about this, married couple, elderly couple, each have to pay $550 to have their meal delivered. That's not kosher. By any objective measure, that's not a good move.
I understand, and like I said, that was something that was implemented to my tenure, and I can't feasibly stand here and pull back on every implementation that Brant put in place, and that's not my intention.
Why not?
But he's wrong.
I'm sorry.
I'm reluctant to tell you this, but he's very wrong. I wish he was here, because I don't want to pick on you. I know some of these things are carryovers, but that just defies logic.
I hear you, I understand.
All right, Governor.
Okay, we have another AC issue in the tavern. It was 56 yesterday when I went in for breakfast, and it's always at 65, which is freezing, since the beginning of when it opened. And when you take your second bite of eggs, they're cold by the time. It's like hanging meat in there. And you have to dress for winter, so it's a lot of people are uncomfortable there. And the other thing is, they've misplaced the remote for the fireplace. It's only a light. That light should be on summer and winter to create atmosphere. And they need to find or order a new remote for that. It's only a light, and it does warm up the visual.
Sure.
And I'm so visual, it makes a difference. Thank you.
Understood, absolutely. Darwin, can we look into that? We'll look into that for you. I definitely don't want it that cold.
Morning. I brought this up before to you and to other people. I live in the north on the 3rd floor. And the elevator lobby, the central elevator lobby, has been used as a collection point for things that people don't want. It's empty. The furniture that belongs there is in the R wing on the 3rd floor. The furniture that belongs in the R wing on the 3rd floor of the elevator is outside of the sports lounge. So are all the paintings and other furniture, and they've been sitting there for a good month and a half collecting dust. So that's one thing. Also, in the R wing, going down the R wing, there is one light fixture that's hanging by wires. There's no fixture, just lights hanging by wires. That's been there, and that is dangerous. In the central part of the building, there are light fixtures without lampshades. Now, this has been going on for a long time, and I'd like to see it fixed.
Okay, we can most certainly do that. Have you by any chance mentioned it to the front desk for a work order?
That's in the
Bulletin, okay.
Yes, that's in the
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, got it. So I am documenting that. We do have a call with Blue Team today at 4, so we can tighten up on some of those things. Okay?
Yep, go for it, yes.
Okay, back to COVID, you want us to communicate with you, but can you communicate to us a little better about who these people are? They used to tell us by telephone, and now, so we know if we've been with them or not.
No, ma'am, we cannot, and I'll give you the same answer I gave my previous community. Due to HIPAA, we cannot tell you exactly who has COVID, but what Leslie will do is call and tell you, you have been around somebody, you have been exposed by COVID, and we can test you and help you accordingly.
But how does she know casually if we were?
When they see the front desk or when they touch base with her, she's made aware and she's able to communicate from the tracking. She'll ask, who have you been around, who have you, what, events, et cetera, and she'll communicate that. Is there any additional components I might have missed, Betsy?
Just if anybody should find out that they are positive, please contact the nurse at 542 or Leslie at 501, because they do start that contact tracing. That's how yesterday we went from 1 case in the morning to 4 cases, is they went back through and, talked to every person positive to see who they'd had lunch and dinner with, who they've been socializing with, so that, we can get people diagnosed quickly and into quarantine.
Yeah, but why were they able to before? Because they can't remember everybody they see.
I can't personally speak to that. I could not imagine that they were telling you exactly who.
By telephone, yes.
I can't speak to that.
I think in the past we did some call-em-alls about just that there were some active cases in the north building or the south building. It was just a vague. So we can work on how to communicate that maybe in the future.
Okay.
Maddie? Yep.
I would like to take a moment. I would like to take a moment to just thank you for your patience, tolerance, and endurance with us senior residents.
That's why I'm here.
Amen.
Amen. Love that.
Looks like that's
And that's
it.
the end of town hall.
Oh, yeah, one more over here.
Yes.
Oh, 2 more.
I had a problem that I happily solved, and I'd like to tell others about it. I needed an antibiotic, and when it was not delivered from Walgreens that I normally had delivery, the next day it was not delivered. So I called them, and they said, "Oh, if you want it today, it'll be a $5.50 charge." And I said, "How come, your policy has changed?" "Well, things change, and we will deliver, but we can't guarantee when you'll get it." So I needed this antibiotic, and I found a pharmacy that my antibiotic within hours. I had it.
Wow.
And it's Main Street Pharmacy and Safety Harbor. And they have been wonderful. So since then, I've ordered my prescriptions, and they're great.
Thank you for sharing that.
Main Street's helped us with our vaccine clinics too.
Love that.
Oh, she's got it.
Okay.
I have a problem with the ladies' bathrooms around here. Every time, there's only 2 toilets in each one, and honest to God, every time I go in, one of them is clogged up. And it's like, we play bingo here on Monday nights, we get 5 minutes break, and everybody rushes to the bathroom, and there's one working.
What's up with that, darling?
Yes. All of them, every one of them is like that. The main lobby, upstairs by the dining room, the one.
I'll get with maintenance and I'll see you. I'll get with
I
maintenance.
wish they would clean those things out, people coming to visit, or residents, new residents, and it's horrible.
Okay. I'll get with maintenance and housekeeping to see what we can do to work on that.
We used to have water fountains, we don't have them anymore. Well, I just wanna know what happened to them. Like if you wanted to stop and get a cup of water, if you're in the lobby or somewhere, we used to have them.
Well, I've seen water fountains here at the community.
Outside there.
We had one that broke.
Okay.
If it's broken, fix it.
The company was out here last week to do repairs on the water coolers, but that one needed a part, so hopefully any day now.
Got it.
Any day they fix it.
They were here last week to fix the water coolers and do cleaning on them all, but the one needed a part, so they're supposed to come back with the part.
Not yet.
There you know. So we're on it, Rita.
They always need that.
Yes. All right.
Betsy, did they say an amount of time?
No, I'll have to follow, Evan's their contact, so we'll have to follow up with
Okay.
Evan.
I'll follow up with housekeeping housekeeping to see an ETA for you on that. And it's over here in this building?
Yeah, the south lobby here.
Back to COVID quickly, you can go online and get COVID tests for free from the government. And I believe it's covid.test/gov. So you get 4 and have them at home.
Thank you, Ms. Candy. Any other questions before we let Darwin and Betsy and myself? No?
Going once?
All right, well, you guys have a beautiful day, and we'll see what we can do. I appreciate you guys.